Hey all, Luigi here with another video. I've had a couple requests to talk about season one, so that's what I'm going to be going through today. There are a lot of topics for season one, so this might be a bit of a long video. But as usual, I'll have timestamps and chapters. So if there's only a particular part that you're interested in or have questions about, feel free to skip to that. So as like a kind of a high level overview of what I'm going to be talking about in the video, I'm going to start off with talking about just like the season one concept. Going to talk about what you want to do preparing for the season, right? Like right before it starts. I'm going to talk about the start of the season for you as an individual, like what you should be doing with like killing zombies and building up your the new buildings and what you want to prioritize and things like that. Then I'm going to talk about what you want to do at the start of the season from an alliance perspective, and about strongholds and cities and outposts and how all that works and strategies kind of around that. Then I'm going to talk about some of the season one events. You can see some of them here on the screen, like the Crimson Legion, this hero promotion, level swaps, as well as the exclusive weapons that you'll see for a few heroes. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the season one rewards. How to get the currency to purchase things in the season one shop, as well as the best rewards and what you want to spend that currency on. So hopefully that'll get us through. I will say, at this point, I am about halfway through season one. I am on week 4 of 8. So if there's anything that you think I missed or think might be more important, as the season progresses, definitely put a note in the comments and happy to have some additional knowledge to share with everybody. So that all being said, let's go ahead and get started. So I would kind of like, so far, I sort of see the season as kind of two parts. So the main concept of the season centers around this whole virus, right? So you can get infected with a virus, you can pass the infection, you can gain resistance, and you need the resistance in order to kill zombies and kill off or capture strongholds and whatnot. And to me, like, that's the first part of the season. And, like I said, I'm on week 4. And really, by the end of week 2, you're going to essentially be capped on resistance. And resistance doesn't really matter as much at that point. It's an important thing for early in the season. But after week 2, it really shifts from being like a very like virus focused, like gaining resistance type thing, to more of a Warzone versus Warzone type game, or in the season. So that's sort of the way I see it, and I think you'll probably recognize that as if you've already gone through it, or if you're going to be going through it, you'll kind of see that shift as well. So that's really the main sort of high level, like what the season is about. So with that, let's get into preparing for this season. So I'm going to just look at my map here, and I'm going to scroll out, and you'll see that this looks very different from what it did before. If you're not in season 1 yet, this might look very strange to you. And all the alliances get pushed out to the edges of the map, right? So like down here, all around the edges, like, I'm not going to go through the whole map, but you get the point. So you'll be positioned somewhere like, all your alliance will get ported something like this, in some clumps. And because of that, like you might think, all right, well, my alliance is just going to be wherever the game puts me, and I'm just going to progress from there. But what you really want to do is you want to start planning ahead of time, because there are limited amounts of cities and in Strongholds, especially like the higher level you get. For example, there's only 3 level 6 cities, and I'll talk about cities and Strongholds and stuff later. But as you probably are aware, right, you want to get the highest level city, but there's only 3 on the server. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about planning is you really want to talk with other alliances on the server, make sure like at least all the big ones are communicating with each other and coming up with a plan for who's going to take what territory. That's going to save you a lot of headaches and really help you because your main focus shouldn't necessarily be so much on your server, but really be on against other servers in your grouping. And so it's important to have a united server, at least initially, to kind of put together a plan for who's going to get access to what. So that is, to me, the most important thing that you can do at the before the start of the season. And I'm going to actually link an image that kind of gives you a blank map of what the season 1 map is, and you can use that to share with other other people to help with planning. So look out for that in the description. So what else? The other thing you'll want to do is you'll have access to your professions at the start of season 1. Now, there's a lot of details about professions. I'm a war leader, right? I'm only level 28 on my base. And the reason I picked a war leader was because I was the strongest member of my alliance at the time. And you really want, it's good to have at least one war leader in your alliance. That being said, if I could turn back time, and I still might, because I do have the ability to switch now, I might switch to engineer. And the reason is because engineer is going to help you progress. Unless you're level 30 with a lot of your upgrades, engineer is really the most value. It's going to help you grow faster, which is really the name of the game at this point anyway. So I would highly recommend most folks go engineer, and you'll probably see that in other videos or other guides out there. It's definitely the way to go in my opinion. So I'm not going to get too much more into the professions. If anybody has additional questions, maybe I'll create another video that goes into more detail on professions. So, but you'll have access to pick that before the season starts. And again, unless you're 30 and pretty up there in terms of your upgrades at 30, I would definitely pick engineer. And then lastly, if you happen to have the pumpkin base, it gives you some extra goodies. After season 1 starts, by the way, if anyone has a pumpkin base, I'm not going to be able to show you here, but you can definitely click on someone with the base, and you can like their base, and it will give you a 5-minute upgrade or something like that. You can only do it once per base, and there's a limit on the amount you can do per day, but you can go to other servers and do that as well. So just something little cool thing that's tied to the season. So that's kind of about it with, actually there is one quick side note. Initially going into season 1, I thought that maybe digging for treasure would provide some season 1, materials and stuff like that. And so I saved up some of these prior to the season start, but just want to strike down that myth. You don't get anything special for season 1, so there's no need to save these. Okay, so let's talk about the start of season 1 and what you want to do as an individual. So if I were to go to the season 1 dashboard here and go to week 1, you'll see that you can contribute some food to unlock this Virus Research Institute. Then you can unlock this protein farm by contributing mutant crystals, and then eventually you'll unlock this genetic recombination little thingy here. So let's go into what those are and what your priorities should be. So the first thing, right, you get this Virus Research Institute, and every time you upgrade it, it goes up to 30, and you can upgrade it to 30 right away, even if your base is below 30, unlike other buildings. It's the same is true for all the Season 1 buildings. And in order to upgrade it, you need to get this immune protein. And in order to get immune protein, you need to build protein farms. And you can see like it's basically just like all the other resources in the game, right? And then in order to upgrade your protein farms, you need mutant crystals. So how do you get mutant crystals? So this is kind of like this little kind of loop of activity. So in order to get mutant crystals, there are a couple things you can do. So one is, and the most common things at the start of the season, is killing zombies and Doom Elites. So Doom Elites change, right? Doom Elites look like this now, like little scorpion crab things. And then there's these zombies here. So like normally when you used to do the search, right, prior to Season 1, I think the max you could get up to was 30, but now they go all the way up to 60. And every time from level 1 to 60, right, for both the zombies and the Doom Elites, the first time you kill one, it gives you a chunk of mutant crystals, right? So the Doom Elites give you much more than these individual zombies. And also, like, these zombies have types, right? So they follow the same, like the missile vehicles will take 20% less damage from tank heroes and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, so you get like a first kill bonus of mutant crystals every time you kill a Doom Elite or a zombie. And of course, with those mutant crystals, you will use those to upgrade your protein farms. The other thing, quickly, I mentioned that just genetic recombination thing here. So if I click on this, once you unlock this, you can see like there are these, what are these called? Genetic fragments, right? So there's a bunch of genetic fragments, and if you click on them, it'll tell you what activities you can get these from. Once this is unlocked, you can, if you have all 6 of them, you just press recombine, and it gives you a bunch of mutant crystals, as you can see. So you can exchange these just like you can with maps in the, your secret task maps. And you'll start off with 30 out of 30 recombines, and at the start of the season you might not have enough of these on your own, so you can exchange what you need, but eventually, very quickly, you're going to have plenty of these genetic fragments, and you'll probably never have to exchange again. But this is definitely a very good way to get mutant crystals. You can see I get 94 when so I got 94,000 mutant crystals for one recombine. So that's another way to get mutant crystals. And then there's like a few other things in terms of like Season 1 as you progress in your goals, right? Individual, as you increase your virus resistance, you can see you unlock some immune proteins, some stuff, and then these are the Alliance goals, but these don't have any mutant crystals in them. And then there's also like a few season tasks, right? As you increase season tasks, you get some minimal mutant crystals, like nothing really fancy there. And then for participating in like stronghold captures and things like that, you also get mutant crystals. So that's like where you get mutant crystals in order to upgrade. So what I'll say, like what you want to do once you unlock the protein farms and the Virus Institute is you just want to start upgrading everything, right? And the important thing I'll say in terms of the protein farms, so there's really two important things. One is you always want to upgrade them together. So you want to get them all to level 2, then all to level 3, then all to level 5, to 4 and 5 and so forth and so on. You never want to get 1 to 30 and then keep the other ones at level 1. And the reason is no matter what level you upgrade from, the increase is always 720. So if I upgrade from level 1 to 2, I gain 720 output per hour from my farm. If I upgrade from level 29 to 30, I get 720 output per hour increase. So the output hour, the output is the same. So you always want to upgrade them together. So that's the one thing I'll say. That's very important. The next thing I'll say is that there is a weekly pass, right? So if I go here, there's a weekly pass that you can purchase. I think it's like $5 or something. And this increases your virus resistance a little bit, and it gives you access to a fifth protein farm. I would say that I shouldn't say never, but for most people, you really don't want to upgrade this fifth protein farm. And the reason is because every week it goes away unless you buy the weekly pass. And then B, because eventually, right, I'm in week 4 right now, and you can see I don't even have my Research Institute maxed to 30 yet. I could have, but I chose not to. And I'll explain why in a minute. But at the end of week 2, as I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, you basically are going to be at level 29 or 28 on your Research Institute. So pretty much maxed out, and some people will already be 30 and completely maxed there. And this will be before you unlock these bases that increase your respective hero's power. If I click on this upgrade, you can see that it's basically like the same thing as the centers, like the tank, missile, aircraft centers, right? It increases the stats of the heroes of that particular type. So at the end of week 2, I had all of my protein farms to 30, and I had a ton of mutant crystals just stacked up. And I was like, man, I'm not there's nothing to use these for, whatever. I'm just going to upgrade my weekly protein farm to get some more protein, because my Virus Research Institute wasn't at level 30 yet. So I spent a bunch to get this to 25, and then within a week, these things came out. And as you can see, you need mutant crystals and protein to upgrade these. But at this stage in the game, the mutant crystals is really what holds you back. You're going to have plenty of immune protein. So definitely want to make sure you use your mutant crystals to upgrade your bases. So in terms of these things, the bases, again, they don't unlock until week 3. But for me, my philosophy is, so I'm base level 28, and I have 2 decently strong squads. I have a strong air squad and a pretty strong tank squad. And for me, I ended up shifting. I was a tank. My main squad was a tank squad, but I switched to air. So initially, I had upgraded my tank a little bit, and then I kind of shifted and put all my focus on my air squad, because that is my main squad, and I want to have that as powerful as possible. And my missile squad is just so weak right now that I don't really care. This isn't really going to help me to upgrade my missile squad right now. Of course, eventually you'll get them all to 30. But for now, I'm personally going to focus on getting my air to probably to 30. And then I'm gonna start upgrading my tank squad. So going back to why I haven't maxed my Research Institute, even though I could have. And the reason is that at this stage in the game, it depends kind of how strong your alliance is. But anyone who decided to max out this weekly thing, or to buy a bunch of stuff, they might have already maxed out to 30, and you don't need to. So let me go ahead and show you killing some of these zombies and the interaction with viruses. So because I'm not maxed yet, I can't kill a level 60 Doom Elite by myself. So you can see here when I click on this max level 60, it has a required virus resistance of 10,500, and it tells you, right, I only have 9,750. But if you look at the potential rewards, there's no mutant crystal here, which means that I have killed this. So you might ask, well, how did you do it? And the way that you do it, and this is a trick that you can do, as long as someone in your alliance can help you and has enough resistance to kill it, you can start a rally on this with like a 1 hero squad. So I think I've actually already set that up, right? So yeah, so like my first squad, I just threw in, this little guy here. So if I were to go to that level 6 zombie or Doom Elite and start a rally with this one guy, like, I'm going to die regardless of what I send. So I might as well lose as little troops as possible. So I can just set this rally, and someone that's stronger that can actually kill it can join my rally, and I will get the credit for that as a first kill, and I'll get all the mutant crystals. So something to consider. If you need some help, and there's some people who are stronger in your alliance, they can help you out in that way. So you get one-time or first-time rewards, mutant crystals for killing these, as well as these. And in terms of, let me just show you, right, when you don't have enough virus resistance to kill something, like you can click on this info button. So you can see that my troops are going to do 16% less damage. And also the enemy is going to do 80% increased damage. So that is something to keep in mind, right? The bigger the difference, the more damage they do. So even if your squad might be powerful, you might not be strong enough to kill some of these things if your damage reduction and their damage increase is high enough. Excuse me. So that is everything to do. Also, actually, there is one other building you get access to. You get access to this emergency center. It's kind of like a hospital, but not really. Essentially, instead of your troops dying, they go into this emergency center, and you can see mine has a capacity of 1,400. It's level 20. And if I click on this heart, or if I click rescue, it'll basically be like all 1,400 of those units have been healed from my hospital, and they'll all go into my drill ground. I'm not going to do that right now because my drill grounds are getting kind of full, so I'd rather just kind of keep them there and have them ready, for later. So that is everything that you're going to want to focus on at the start of the season. Is really just building up these buildings, killing those zombies, killing the Doom Elites, getting the mutant crystals, and just kind of keeping that cycle going for yourself. So with that being said, I do say that a lot, huh? That being said, anyway, let's talk about the start of the season as an alliance. Okay, so I mentioned you start off at the edge of the map, and you really want to, again, coordinate with other alliance about who's taking what. And initially, it's all about strongholds, right? You're not going to be able to capture any cities because that unlocks later in the season, right? As the season progresses, you are able to capture, more and more cities. So that's how that works. So initially, you're only going to be able to capture, these strongholds. And in order to capture the strongholds, let me see if I can find one that has something to kill. There's got to be one around here somewhere. Let me look on this side of the map. Here we go. Okay. So the reason why early in the season, on top of, getting your own personal resistance up and everything, the reason that getting your resistance up is important is because you will want to capture strongholds as an alliance. And in order to capture them, you need to kill these corruptor guards. And the higher you go, the more difficult they are to kill, especially if you're not at the full resistance value. And you don't need to be at the full resistance value, right? You can see like these early corruptors, their power is only, it's small, right? This is a level 2. See if there's a level 1 alive. So here's a level 1. So 4.2 mil power on the level 1. And you can start as long as you have some, especially as you go up, as long as your people are powerful enough, you can start capturing these even if you don't have the full resistance required. You can test the waters to see. Usually, there's not really like a set rule, but you'll see like you don't need to be maxed to kill these. But that as an alliance is what you're going to want to do. And in order, like what you need to do first, you have to capture a level 1 stronghold first, and progress from there. So like let's look at is there someone with a level 1 stronghold? Here's one, right? So this alliance has a level 1 stronghold now. So let's assume this is the start of the season, and they capture this level 1 stronghold. Now at the start of the season, you can only hold 3 strongholds at a time. And how that increases is once you capture a city. So cities level 1 through 5, cities go up to level 6. So that's the max. So if you capture level 1 city, a level 2, 3, 4, or 5 city, it will increase the number of strongholds you can hold by 1. So if I have 1 city, I can have 4 strongholds if I, assuming it's level 1 through 5. So that's like that dynamic in terms of the max strongholds you can hold. Now, at the start, you can only hold 3, and you have to start at level 1. So say I'm at the start of the season, I'm this alliance, I capture this level 1 stronghold. Okay. The other important thing when it comes to season 1 is whenever you're capturing something, it has to be connected to your land. So if I'm looking at this alliance who has this, this purple color, they can only take this level 2 or this level 2. Or they could challenge this other alliance here. They could do those because those are connected as well. They will not be able to take this level 2 city because this land, right, is not connected, right? So that is the important concept when it comes to, and this is why it's important at the start of the season to communicate with other alliances on the server. Excuse me, because you will need to, progress in this linear path. So yeah, like, yeah. So I guess that's what I wanted to say about that. But you can see here, like you might look at this LOR, right? Like you see, they have this level 1 at the bottom, and then they have stuff up top that's not connected. Like how could they do that? And the reason is because cities are like once you have something, you can abandon the connecting pieces and still keep one that you had already taken, right? So that's how that works. Like later on in the season. So just to keep that in mind, you just have to be connected when you initially take it. After it's taken, you can drop stuff, and your what you hold can be separated, and that's why you see some of that here, just as an explanation. So in terms of strongholds, I already talked about how you can get them. You can only take 2 strongholds per day, so just keep that in mind. In terms of your strategy, you can in I talked about how like this alliance, right? Like they, or excuse me, this one, they took stuff and then they abandoned and then have this stuff in between. So you can only hold a max initially of 3. So what happens if you want to move forward but you already have 3? Well, that means you have to abandon one that you already have. And when you do abandon one, it's a full hour before it's fully abandoned. So just keep that in mind. When you're talking about planning, like if you want to progress and you need to drop one, do that at least an hour before you plan to do so. And then cities. Okay, so cities are kind of similar to strongholds, but there's not really like an expanding limit like strongholds have. Cities, you can only have 4 cities on your control on your server. And again, it's 2 per day. And just like or just like strongholds, right? You can abandon and you can do all that stuff. And also, I guess one thing to mention is when you do capture a stronghold, you get 36 hours protection on that stronghold, so no one will be able to attack it on other servers. So just want to throw that in there. So that's kind of like how it works. And when you're capturing strongholds, like, all right, so like what's the reason? Like, what are the benefits of capturing strongholds in cities? So you can see, right, like this stronghold, you can see it increases this one increases coin production, right? This city increases coin production as well. But the other important, and you can see like the city, right, it increases your stronghold limit by 1, as I mentioned earlier. So the other important thing when it comes to season 1 is this concept of influence points. And you can see like on this city gives 200,000 influence points. This stronghold gives 10,000 influence points. And that's kind of what dictates the rewards at the end of the season. I'm going to talk about the rewards later, so I'm not going to get too much into it now. But as you can probably guess, the higher the stronghold and the higher the city you capture, it gives you more and more influence points. Up until a level 10 stronghold gives you 50,000 influence, and a level 6 city gives you 1,000,000. And you can see the level 6 city increases the stronghold limit by 2, as I mentioned earlier. So something to keep in mind, because, and again, I'll go over the rewards later. So we talked about, the whole idea of cities and strongholds, and like how to capture them. Now I'm going to talk about outposts, and outposts come into play when you are going to another server. So outposts, you can have a maximum of 4. And once you place it, that's it. You can't remove it. You can't place it in another server. And the way that the outposts work, kind of like at the start of the season 1, when you get placed at the edge of the map, outposts, the amount of outposts you can have increases as the season goes on. So if I go to my expedition section here, I can see that we have 2 outposts, my alliance. One is on, server 852, and the other is on server 845. And the next one, right, our third outpost doesn't unlock for another 6 days. And then the fourth one unlocks in 13 days. And there are limits, right? So the first outpost that you can place, it can only be placed in a level 2 stronghold area or lower, right? So I could place, once that first one unlocked, I could have placed it here, or I could place it here, right? I cannot place it here because this is level 3. I would not have been able to do that. So other than the placement of the outpost, everything else conceptually is the same in terms of the limits of strongholds you can have. You can only have 3. You can only take 2 a day. And the important thing in terms of the limit on the strongholds that you can take, that 2 per day limit, even if you have 4 outposts, that is across all of your war zones. So you can't do 2, you can't attack 2 strongholds or take 2 strongholds on each war zone that you have an outpost in. You can only do 2 across all of them. So definitely a lot of strategy involved in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. So I talked about the first outpost you can put on level 2 stronghold, and that allows you to take a level 2 stronghold first. You don't have to take a level 1 like you did at the start of season 1. You can go straight for the level 2, and kind of go from there. Now, once the second outpost that you get access to, the second outpost, you can actually place it on level 4 or higher, right? And it can increase. You can see this third one that unlocks in 6 days. I can place that next to a stronghold of level 6. And then the last one can be a stronghold of level 8. So there's a lot of strategy involved in terms of where you should go, and what you want to accomplish. Again, the amount of rewards you're going to get at the end of the season depends upon how many influence points that your alliance holds. And again, I'll go over the rewards later. So it's important to, of course, like ideally, right, as I mentioned, level 6 cities give the highest influence at 1,000,000 per. So how can I get as many of those as I can? But there's only 3 per war zone. So it's definitely a very highly contested thing. So a lot of strategy involved. What you can do, our alliance and I'm sure many others, you usually forge alliances with people from other servers. Like you can exchange cities, like, oh, like you can take this city if you let me take that, and so forth and so on. So there's some give and trade there. And then there are some people that you might be not so friendly with. So maybe you might consider going there and like taking it by force. But yeah, it's an interesting concept and a lot of strategy involved in this. So something to consider for sure. So the only thing I'll say in terms of additional strategy when it comes to placement of outposts and whatnot, I would probably hold. So the way that the season rewards, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to have people that skip to the reward section not hear this part. So I would hold on to your last outpost and kind of maybe even save that until the last day of the season. And just in case you want to like have a quick maneuver, want to make a quick maneuver to try to get some last minute points that could potentially push you into a higher reward range, and whatnot. So just something to think about there. The other thing I'll say too is when you post an outpost in a different server. So let me see if I can. Actually, let me go to one that we currently have. Okay, so you can see that our outpost has, I'm in SNM1. So our outpost and whoever, this alliance is, has been destroyed. And that's fine. Outposts can be destroyed and you really don't care if they are. The only time you care if they're destroyed is the initial time that you are landing on the server. So the way it works is I'm just going to port here. So someone is going to, a rank 4, a rank 5, and the alliance is going to place an outpost down. And once the outpost is placed, there you can garrison. There are up to 20 people that can garrison the outpost. And the construction time, so that, it'll take time to construct. During that time of construction, it is immune. It cannot be attacked. It's in the protection stage. Once the outpost is completed and successfully built, you are then able to try to capture a stronghold that is next to it. And also at that same time, the members of the server that you're trying to occupy can attack your outpost. So it's really like you're trying to keep your outpost alive. You're trying to capture the stronghold. And the one thing that you want to consider is when you're picking like your first drop location. Remember when I said earlier that you can only attack and capture a stronghold on land that is connected to what you already have. So for example, let me see if I can find something on this server that would work. Here we go. Okay. So say, for example, there's this level 2 stronghold and you decided to place your outpost here. That's probably a good idea. And the reason it's a good idea is because once you're taking the stronghold, no one on this server can attack it because no one owns a piece of land adjacent or connected to it. So that's something you really want to think about in terms of where you're placing your stronghold, because if you are connected, to someone else, then of course you're going to higher chance that you have resistance. Okay, so going back to the outpost. Once the outpost can be attacked, you want it to defend it as much as possible. Because if, so you can see I can repair this as well, by the way. So once an outpost is destroyed, you can repair it. So it's not like the end of the world. You can try again, at a later date. But once the outpost is destroyed, if you're in the middle of capturing a stronghold, say like you're 80% there and you have 5 minutes left and you capture the stronghold. Well, if someone kills your outpost, you can no longer progress on the stronghold. It will stop at 80%, and you will not be able to capture it until your outpost is reconstructed. So that's like how that kind of mechanic works. So there's a lot that comes into play there. Again, like if you land in a spot that doesn't have any adjacent alliances connected to it, that's going to make it a little bit easier for you in terms of resistance. Okay, so I think that is everything I wanted to talk about in terms of strategies around capturing things. I guess like there's two other things I want to quickly mention. I talked about like the influence points and how that dictates the end of season rewards. You also get influence points by winning Warzone duels, which for us hasn't even started yet. It starts next week. And the other thing I wanted to mention in terms of this is that you can teleport anytime you want. Like as you saw, I just teleported to this server, and I can go to my season 1. I can go here. I can go to grouping, and you can see these are all of the servers in my group. I can go to anyone. And like with versus, when you go back and forth and stuff, like there's a cooldown if you going back and forth too much for 5 minutes. But I can go to these servers at any time. So it's really important when you're talking about versus, right? If you're facing an alliance that's in this server group and versus, they can come to your server anytime, not just enemy buster day, like you used to, and you can't attack everybody. You can't attack folks. Like, so if as you saw when I ported to 842, I can't attack anybody there. I can't. But what I could do is I can still attack people in the mud. I can still attack people or I can attack resource tiles of people that are gathering in the mud. So just something to think about if you are, in a versus and how on day 0 you send your squads out to gather. Might not want to gather in the mud because they could attack you off of those tiles. So just something to keep in mind there. Cool. So that's kind of the general outlook of going to another war zone and kind of the interactions there. Hopefully I did a decent job of explaining it. There's a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. I'll absolutely get back to you on it. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the season 1 events. So let me quickly first talk about Crimson Legion. So Crimson Legion is basically like Zombie Siege, except what will happen is as you can see here, it's every Tuesday and Friday, and this will happen at noon server time. And what happens is that the Crimson, the monsters or whatever, the zombies, are going to pick one of the cities that you hold, and they will send waves at your city. I think 30 waves, and they'll just keep sending them. And so what you'll want to do, of course, is you want to garrison your city. You can have 20 people garrisoned. And then if you successfully kill everybody, kill all the waves, just like in Zombie Siege, you get rewards, right? So you can see all the rewards here if you successfully defend against all the waves. If you don't, by the way, it does hit your base as if like someone was attacking it. So it is possible it could like destroy the city if you don't have enough people defending it. So just keep that in mind. And the other thing I'll say around that is the first, several of the event, like they're very weak. And every time one of your squads gets attacked, you gain, that squad gains virus stacks. So you might leave, like after the event ends, if you're one of those people who's been defending, you'll probably end up having something like, 500 stacks of the virus. And once that returns to your base, I guess this is one thing I didn't really talk about when it comes to the virus, is there's various stages to being infected. And once you, let me actually, let me go ahead and just give myself some virus real quick. Where am I going? Oh yeah, I need to go to my profession. Go to my skills. I'm going to virus disk myself. And yeah, so you can see like I'm essentially, infected, although I'm sure people are going to be cleansing me here in a second. But I can actually, oh geez, I forgot where I go to stop the virus from being cleansed. But anyway, so you can see that for every, stack of virus I get, I have some negative, I guess, some negative impacts. At 30 stacks, you can see like my morale gets lowered, which lowers my damage. Every so often my heroes get sent to the hospital. And once you reach their max stacks of virus, your base turns into a bomb. And there's a 30-second countdown, and once that timer ends, you explode. And you do damage to bases around you, and you spread 50 stacks of the virus to other people around you. So it's pretty cool, especially like in Enemy Buster Day and in Versus, because you can do some really cool stuff with it. So just something to keep in mind. So anyway, back to the event. When you complete this, you might, when you return your squad to your base, you might instantly get 100 stacks. So just make sure, as long as one person heals you, you will be fine and you won't blow up. And I guess I didn't really talk about that. When someone has a virus stack, essentially there'll be this new icon. I don't think anyone has one here. Oh, here we go. So there's this new syringe icon. So if I click on this, now I'm going to go and inject some stuff to remove the stacks from my friend there. So that's how that works. And you can see everyone's doing it to me now. Like they're sending their guy to me. Oh, look at that. Perfect timing. Let's go and grab some goodies. So that is the Crimson Legion event. So the next thing I want to talk about is the hero upgrade, hero promotion, right? So we see here hero promotion, and you can see I've already done that, and that's Mason. So Mason will turn into an ultra rare hero, and the way that you can do that is with an upgrade shard. So let me go to the Season 1 Battle Pass. Where it is here? So I don't think it was in the Battle Pass, actually. It was in the goals. Let's see. Go back here. Season 1. Go to goals. Okay, here we go. So you can see at the start, like the second you get 100 virus resistance, you get this legendary hero badge. So once it's unlocked, which will be, I think was it week 2? Yeah. So week 2, you are able to promote Mason to ultra rare. And there's a couple of neat little tricks that I just want to mention before you do that. So first off, you absolutely want to wait until Hero Day in your verses to promote Mason to ultra rare. And before you do that, you want to use all of his shards. So first off, Mason has to be 5 stars, right? So you have to get Mason to 5 stars. And once he's 5 stars, and you go right to, if I go to my tank center, right, before, once Mason's 5 stars, you unlock the Wall of Honor, and you can see, right, I have a couple folks in here already, and you can use shards to promote the Wall of Honor. So you absolutely, before you upgrade Mason, you want to use all of your skill medals on Mason, and you want to use all of your hero shards on his Wall of Honor. And the reason is because once you upgrade him, all of the skill medals that you have invested into Mason and all of those additional shards get mailed back to you, and you can reuse them again. So you can double dip for the verses. So just something to keep in mind there. Once you upgrade him to ultra rare, he turns into 3 stars. And then if I look here, you see I have enough to promote him now. It costs, instead of like the 100 ultra rare shards that it takes to upgrade Mason, or to upgrade the 5th star for ultra rare heroes, it just costs twice as many purple shards, and you get a bunch through the virus resistance and stuff. So that is the ultra rare event. And let's talk quickly about the hero swap. So level swap, this one's pretty easy. You get some XP swaps, like you saw where I got the Mason thing with your season goals. You also get these XP tokens, and this basically just allows you to swap XP, only XP, not stars, not skills, just XP. So this allows you to pick 2 heroes and swap their level. And what you'd want to use that for is, again, like, all the ultra rare heroes are really good. I, for example, got McGregor last week. So he was level 1, and my Scarlet was like level 105, and I was not going to use Scarlet anymore. So I did an XP swap, and I instantly got McGregor to level 105 or whatever it was at the time. So that's an example of where you would use that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is exclusive weapons. So throughout, if I look at so you can see in, was it week 1, I think. Oh, does it not show up here? Oh, I guess it doesn't. So periodically, so initially it was Kim, and then it was Diva last week. And then I think Tesla is coming up here as well. You will unlock, actually, I think you can see it here we go. So you can see in the events, right, like Kimberly exclusive weapon comes out on day 4, day 18 was Divas, and then day 39 is going to be Tesla's. These are big, right? They do a lot of damage. I would absolutely, if you are spending money in this game, I would absolutely get the battle passes once they are available for these exclusive weapons. I think it's like the standard $20 pass, and you get a bunch of shards. Like here's Divas, right? You get a bunch of Diva shards, and you get some of these exclusive weapon upgrade tokens. That's what these other badges are. So absolutely do that. It increases the power significantly, and they do a lot of damage. You can click on it and you can see, what it does and what it contributes. The one thing I will say with this, so Tesla, his exclusive weapon is coming out on, whatever day it was that you saw, 30 something. And my Tesla, in order to actually activate the weapon, your hero has to be 5 stars. So you can see my Tesla's not 5 stars, which is good, because like Tesla in my missile squad, as I mentioned earlier, is like pretty weak. So I'm going to buy the battle pass so I can have it when I'm ready, but I'm not going to use it. And even if Tesla was 5 stars, I probably wouldn't use it because I don't want, so much like when you get a new hero, right? Like you get these like special shops that pop up that say, oh, you can spend $5 and you get, some more shards. And then if you spend 10 and, so forth and so on. It's the same thing with a weapon. So once you unlock a weapon, you also get these shops that pop up for the weapon that are only available for like 7 days. And I did purchase, some like Kimberly ones and the Diva ones, but I have no desire to purchase Tesla, at least not anytime soon. So I'm going to hold off completely on upgrading Tesla to 5 stars and using that because I don't want to buy. I may consider it at a later date, but for now I really don't want to. So that's the one thing I would say in terms of activating the exclusive weapon. If you are planning on wanting to buy like some of those packs and you might have a budget per week, maybe you want to wait to activate it for like another week or another month or something like that. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay. So that covers the events. Like there are a couple, as we saw, like these are kind of like after the season or pretty much near when the season ends. There's a black market and there's this champion duel stuff. I don't know too much about it. So maybe I'll create another video at another day talking a bit about the champion duel. I do know a bit about the black market. The black market is kind of like the discount shop for New Year's, and you do get some goodies. And you can refresh the shop. So let's talk about the season 1 rewards. So if I were to go to let's go to the season store. So you can see there's season store, and in order to get this, you need this currency, right? These, what do they call it? Merit badges or whatever they are. And there's not a ton in this shop, but there's enough. And of course, your mythic blueprints are absolutely wonderful to get, and highly recommend that you get those. So that is definitely one of the things I'm going to be going at for sure. And I'm absolutely going to get at least one of this because this increases, this decoration increases your march size, which is very powerful, as I discussed in my my unit video. So feel free to take a look at that if you're not sure what that is. But definitely super good. And, this base, I'm probably not going to get this base just because these other two things are more important. And there's, so we'll see how much currency I have at the end of the season. But this is definitely lower on my priority list. The rest of this stuff is, I'm not touching it. So, yeah, just something to think about there. So how do I get this currency? As far as I know, there are 2 ways to get the currency. So one is if you may have taken part in a Warzone duel before, you might remember on like the Capital War Day when you invade or get invaded, there's a bunch of chests that you can unlock, right? Depending upon how much garrisoning you do, how much attacking you do. If you Ash players, you unlock these chests. And as you unlock those chests and open them up, I think if you unlock all of them, you get, I think, 50 of the merit badges. So that's definitely something you want to do because that is the only way I know of to get merit badges outside of the end of the season. So the end of the season, let's talk about the rewards. So if I go to and I go, is it the leaderboard? Yes. And rewards. Okay. So at the end of the season, you can see like there are these reward tiers: green, blue, purple, and gold. And you can see that on the gold level, right, it tells you how much you get. So the alliance leader of the gold alliance gets 1.5 thousand of these season merit medals, and then the other members get the as you can see, it goes down, and you actually also get the decoration, so that's pretty nice. And then it's the difference between epic and gold is not significant. It's not like too crazy. I mean, you get 1,000 here, you get 700 here, 1,000, so forth and so on, and it goes down from there. And this is where influence points comes into play, which what I talked about before. So that's the name of the game, and this award is based on the snapshot right the day the season ends. So that is all that matters, right? If you capture a level 6 city on the last day, that gives you 1 million influence points, and that's what it captures. It doesn't matter if say before the last day you only had 1 million influence points, and then on the last day you took I don't know, you ended up capturing 3 level 6 cities, and that gives you 3 million. So it doesn't matter where you stand before the season ends. All that matters is where you are once the settlement day comes. So you can see like there's a settlement countdown, and that's when that happens. So the gold is very hard to do, because gold, you can see there's conditions to get this. First off, it has to have you have to be the number 1 ranked alliance for influence, and you have to have 4 level 6 cities. And as I mentioned, there are only 3 per war zone. So there's 3 per war zone, and 2, 4, 6, and you have 8 war zones. So yeah, you want to, there's not a lot out there, especially when you think about like all the strength and how difficult it is to get those 6 cities. Again, like you can only put outposts on 4 servers, right? So that means there are only 4 servers plus your own. So there are 5 servers of the 8 that you could potentially get level 6 cities on, and then your territory has to be connected to them, and of course you're fighting other alliances. So it's not an easy thing to accomplish, depending upon what your where your alliance stands in terms of power and things like that. You probably want to think about like what goal, like what is realistic for you as an alliance, and try to plan on what you can do to achieve that goal. So this epic reward, the purple reward, it's really not that bad. Like you need to have 5 million influence points, and you only need 2 level 6 cities. So you can see there's really a big jump between gold and purple. So yeah, something to think about there. And the other thing that gives you influence points, we talked about, the strongholds and the cities and all that, and we talked about how you can get some merit badges from Warzone Duel. Well, winning Warzone Duel also permanently increases your influence. So that's very important, and that's something you really want to try to achieve is to win those Warzone duels. So you really want to kind of, again, like at the start of the season, you want everyone on your server to really be allied together, because that's going to help you determine who's going to get what on your server without any conflict, and then it's also going to help you hopefully win Warzone duels to permanently increase your all the alliances on the server's influence. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. So there's also this builder thing for lower level alliances that it stops you from being able to think like attack other. I don't really know the details too much about it, because my alliance is not doing this. So I would, if you're curious about that, definitely look into it. But the idea is that it's supposed to help people that aren't really going to be able to attack other alliances or other outposts and things like that. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, so the best rewards, as I talked about, there is one thing I wanted to mention with the season The season store. This pyramid, the black market event that happens towards the end of the season, like you can refresh, and every time you refresh, I think you get like 7 refreshes a day or something like this. You have a chance to get this for free. So just keep that in mind. Like you don't need to spend these merit badges right away. They're available forever, and they also count towards season 2 if you don't use any. So just keep that in mind. So I think that covers it. I think that's the end of this very long video. So thanks for listening, for those who stuck around, and hopefully this helps you out. Again, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to put it in the comments. Thanks. See you next time.